Deep cleansing breaths. Deep cleansing breaths.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Hey, everybody.
Oh my!
Oh, you get punchy, Abby and Hank, today. So it's a bonus for
I feel
everybody.
like that is how you introduce me every single time I get on camera, Hank. What is it? I do feel like you see behind the scenes, Abby, though, which might be a little different.
You know, it's Friday. It's we kind of let our hair down a little bit on Fridays.
Neither one of us has much of it.
Right. I have in my 50s now. I have more eyebrows than I have anything.
Funny that you say that. I'm going to tell you guys, just while we're waiting for people to get on and join, that, okay, so this class that I'm teaching for the summit has 1,095 people in it. And there is nothing like the potential of 1,000 people looking at your ugly mug on camera that makes you question everything. And one of the things that I recently noticed was, look how weird my eyebrow hairs grow. And like, I couldn't stop focusing on that. And I was like, 1,000 people are going to see my weird eyebrows.
Well, nobody told me that when you turn 50 that your eyebrows would like need upkeep for the first time in your life.
Are they like butterflies?
Yeah, they're like, oh. That's right. It's TMI Fridays.
Welcome, everyone. You thought you were coming to talk about formatting, and instead we're talking about facial hairs.
Right.
They both start with F. That's good enough, right? All right. Wow. Okay.
Pardon me while I turn my ceiling fan on.
Yeah, I was going to say we have, probably a lot of ground to cover. Things in my hair. We have a lot of ground to cover today because I think we decided that really probably one of the best ways sometimes to do something is, or to talk about something, is to just do it, especially if it's something that no one has done before. So I know some of the people that are here in the chat have definitely formatted books because I know they have some books out into the world, but we do have a lot of people following along in the challenge who have never formatted a book. And so I have done it a grand total of one time. And I believe I told Josh Hayes on the podcast, it was actually so easy that I questioned if I was even doing it right. I was like, there has to be a step I'm missing if it's this easy. And so if you have the right program, I do think it's easy. If you're doing it in Microsoft Word, I think it's a bit of a slog because you're essentially Martha Stewarting it. You're doing it from scratch, right? I mean,
it can be, but there are things you can do to set up your process ahead of time that make it easier. Like setting the I'm drawing a blank, the headings and defining your headings for chapter titles, and setting your page properties so that new paragraphs have a half-inch indent and things like that, so that instead of spacing at the beginning of a paragraph or using tab, you have these things happen automatically. I feel like we talked a lot about paperback layout the other day with Josh, which is super important, but when you're laying out ebooks, because they are dynamic and your Kindle renders a lot of things, or your Kindle app, there's really not a whole lot of setup. The big thing is not doing things to complicate the process. If you're going to do it in Microsoft Word, if you set that up ahead of time, set up headings, set up your page layout, you really just kind of have to get out of its way and let it do its thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just said to NJ, I have your questions starred, but it's actually, this is really smart, everyone. NJ is, speaking of formatting, going to format all the questions in caps, which is awesome because it makes it easy for us to see. I don't know that you guys can see that when I star them, but we do star them and mark them to make them easy too. So the caps totally helps. So everybody get on the all caps board. I won't think you're yelling at me, I promise. So but anyway, all right. So do you want to do NJ's question first? I mean, we might as well. You're muted, man. You're muted. All right. In formatting, is the end file always converted to PDF before publishing it? Hank, you're muted.
The answer to that is maybe, sometimes. If you're uploading an ebook, no, you do not want it to be a PDF. If you're uploading a print book, yes, you want it to be PDF because, like we talked about, the ebook is dynamic. You want it to be a text file that then your Kindle will interpret the text and display it the way your Kindle is set to display it. So we've got to think about this in two ways. You've got the Kindle, which displays text that you upload, and the layout is determined in your Kindle settings. Like for instance, when I open my Kindle, it's waking up. It is set to, I have the margin set wide, the kerning, I have a little bit of space. I think it's probably set to the medium setting for the space between paragraphs. And my text size is, it's not large text, but it's not small either, because I want to be able to read in the bed without putting my glasses on. Mm-hmm. So I have it set to a comfortable size. And all of that is because the ebook file is just a text document, and the Kindle decides how to display that text. Okay. Contrast that with a print book, and the pages are laid out ahead of time, and whatever however that page is laid out and then saved as the PDF, that's exactly how it's going to display in the book. So because paper books are not dynamic, they need to be, you need to tell the printer exactly what you want it to look like. And then the printer is going to print the book to your exact specifications. And that's where the PDF comes in. So because the Kindle is dynamic, you want just a text file, and that's typically going to be an EPUB file. Text, doc, or docx. KDP will accept a doc or docx file. It will also accept an EPUB file. EPUB is it usually is a better format because it allows the hyperlinks and things for the chapter headings. When you go to the table of contents, you click on chapter 1. You want it to skip through all your front matter and go immediately to chapter 1. Or links maybe in your back matter where you link to your author website or to your Amazon store where they can buy the next book in your series. You want those hyperlinks to all work properly. And EPUB is set up to properly handle all the. A doc file will also handle those hyperlinks, but sometimes you can get some little squirreliness that carries over in the file format translation. So I recommend to generate the EPUB file and then publish that to Amazon.
Can you generate an EPUB from Microsoft Word?
I don't think that you can directly, although if they haven't added that functionality yet, they're ridiculous because they probably will in the future. What I use is a free program called Calibre. Some people pronounce it Calibre. It's Calibre, and it's an ebook. It's really kind of multifaceted. It's an ebook library program where you can manage all of your ebooks. You can read ebooks. You can manage your Kindle. You can sync it between there and manage your library, and you can convert files. So you could import a document file or doc or docx file and tell it that you want to convert it to an EPUB, and it spits out a clean EPUB file on the other end. It's super easy. EPUB can be done on Mac from Pages. I didn't know that. That's handy to know. I have Pages on an iPad. I wonder if it has the same functionality.
You know
I'll
what?
have to look at that.
I should pull it up right now while we're sitting here on the computer, because we're about to show you how to use both Atticus and Vellum, because it seems like those are kind of the two programs that I hear all the time that people do use. They're supposedly have a few more bells and whistles maybe than some of the others. But we're going to kind of show you. And when I exported from Vellum, I said, go ahead and export to every file you could think of under the sun. And it gave me a folder. And when I opened up that folder, it was like PDF, EPUB, and then it was like Kindle, Nook, too. Like, I mean, it had any file you could have wanted was just automatically, boom. It was right there. So NJ has a question, and NJ was asking this of Josh, like, how do I get it into formatting books for a living? And NJ wants to know, when becoming a formatter, can I advertise that I only format print books? And I would imagine you could advertise whatever you want. But if you do end up investing in a program that allows you to do both, you're going to see when we show you how easy this is, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't I offer it? Because it's going to be so simple to be able to pop out everything that you need.
Exactly.
All right, so let's see. We did show this one. Are there places that I can just print a physical book without committing to publishing through them? Yes, Lulu does. And I just sent B there earlier today. So Lulu, you do not have to publish through them. You can order one copy. You can order 7,000 copies. You don't have any limitations. And that's how I ordered all of my, like, kind of, they weren't really ARCs. It was really more like a beta reading copy, but I wanted to give the kids who were beta reading an actual real book because it felt more serious and like official than just, giving them a file for the computer. And so I think I ordered 7, but you can just order 1. And I did not click the publishing button. So nobody has access to that file except for me. Do you know any other places? I would assume.
Well, KDP, you can upload your book there. You can go through the whole publishing process and just not click publish. So you can go through the whole setup, and you can order author copies for yourself, and it never go on Amazon. So, I mean, that's a bit of a hack, a kind of a workaround. But then if you decide that you want to put it up for public sale, all you got to do is click a button, and you're ready to go. So, but you can upload it and just not post it for sale, but order your own author copies.
They're punking me in the chat right now, because now all the comments are in all capital letters and I can't figure out which ones are the questions. Did you guys get together and say, like, let's give Abby a run for her money on Friday?
So funny. So funny.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's see. We're talking about EPUB and physical books. And I thought there was a question. Now I'm lost though. About printing. Yes, we did read that.
The chat is a little spicy today.
I like it. I'm into it. I thought it was last. Oh yeah, right here. So you can use the print function to save a PDF from Word. If you guys aren't familiar with that, that is where you find the the PDF.
Just you go to print, and instead of a physical printer, you just choose save PDF. Yeah.
NJ forgot caps was on.
I forgot.
I used to, when I taught at the high school, there was one of the coaches. He was the football coach. He only sent, we had just gotten like an instant messaging program when I was working, and he used to send all his instant messages in all caps because he just wrote everything in all caps. And one day I went down to his classroom door and I stood there and I had tears in my eyes. And I was like, why do you keep yelling at me? I don't know what I did wrong.
Oh, that's funny.
He wasn't. All right, good. We've got a question here. All right. How to find a neat solution to format cover and back with the blurb. Struggled and ended up with the Cover Creator in KDP. I used Photoshop, and I at one point added like a single page to the manuscript and had to go back and readjust it to the most ridiculous fraction of a dimension to make my cover come out correctly. Do you have a simpler solution than using something like Photoshop, Hank?
No, I've always used Photoshop. That's KDP will give you a template, and you can open that template in Photoshop and set that as your bottom layer, and then just lay everything on top of it. That's the easiest way I've ever seen. You just line it up with their dotted lines, and then that way you know that it's. And what you do is you upload your file. It determines how many pages that is, and it creates the template dynamically so that your spine is the right width and all of that for how many pages you have. So I don't know of an easier way to do it than that. And if you don't have Photoshop, you can use GIMP is a free photo editor. Krita, Krita, is a free layer based, and what's the web based one that we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago? Photopea will also open Photoshop files, and you can do the same thing. So there's
CoverJig.
CoverJig. I've never used that, but I'm gonna check that out.
Okay, so NJ's got another question here. What means would you use to send someone's manuscript back or receive it? Email? Oh, I'm assuming you mean after you have done your files and then you want to send your files back. I mean, I would probably just use a Dropbox, a shared Dropbox folder. That's what I used to do when I was working with a book coach. We had a shared Dropbox folder where I always put my submissions, and that's where they sent it back. I know if you work with a cover designer or a book formatter like on Readsy, they deliver all of their files through Readsy, like right on the platform they just upload. But I would think you could email it. I think, I don't know. Hank, would you be worried about someone, I guess, stealing your email? I don't know.
I never have. I mean, maybe that's nah. That's never been a concern to me.
No porch pirates.
Yeah, I'm not anything I've ever had to worry about. So,
I think the shared Dropbox folder, if you have Dropbox, that would be pretty common.
And I'm pretty sure you can even get a free Dropbox account. I think the storage limit is lower, obviously, but I think it's plenty big enough to share a file with. Or if you're a Microsoft user, OneDrive is usually built in. Apple has a similar function, don't they? Or you can
iCloud something or other.
iCloud something.
I've actually never used the Apple one.
There's a number of cloud-based services where you can share a file. And
Google Drive.
Google Drive, that's something that's accessible to just about everyone.
I know that when I sent my manuscript off to the editor, I just sent it through email. And actually, I think every editor I've ever used outside of the book coach, I just email them my file and they just email it right back. So could an AI get a hold of a manuscript through email? That's my main concern. I don't know. I don't know that AI is currently scraping emails. I mean, I would think that's definitely a breach of privacy.
You would think so.
Yeah.
You would think.
So I would think, excuse me. I don't think that's
and Yeah, that's a discussion. I don't that's a discussion for another day. But
Oh,
yeah,
sorry, I thought I was hiding that one. All right, I think we've gone through the questions. If you guys have more questions, keep putting them up. Hank, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? I got Vellum pulled up.
I've got Atticus pulled up. Let's see. Let's. I feel like your vellum demonstration is going to be a lot more intense than mine is. So let's just show Atticus real quick. This is Atticus. It is a web-based. This all happens in a web browser window, similar to the way Dabble works. So if you're familiar with web-based software from using Dabble, it won't be a stretch. I've got a couple projects that I've loaded in here. Excuse me. When you get ready to start, you just, and you can't see me browsing here, but I'm just going to browse to a location on my hard drive where a book is, and this is my book, the first book in the Relic Wars. And this is one that I just sent to my editor, so this is not going to be a this one is called The Signal Beneath the Sand, and I uploaded a Word doc and I put that in there, and then it sees that my author name is already Hank Garner, and this is Relic Wars Book 1. And then you just click Go Get 'em, Atticus, and it reads the file, and boom. So subtitle, I'll say Relic Wars Book 1. And I don't have a cover image yet, so I'm just gonna just grab a photo. Let's see. And this is not the cover for it. It's just a photo that I had on my hard drive. So it recognized that there are 33 chapters. It's actually 30 chapters, but there are some headings there from my edits that pulled in. But it would if I had a clean document that was ready, that had all of the track changes already completed and all that, it would say 30 chapters. And you could just immediately, if it's pristine and ready to go, then you just hit export EPUB or PDF. But if you want to do a little work on it, you can go back and then you can click on it here, and it has a chapter editor. And you can click through. It automatically recognizes your chapters. Like I said, this is not a great example because some of the chapters are different because of the track changes it's picking up, but you can go through, you can add a graphic for each chapter. You can put chapter titles. You've got the title page. You can add copyright information. This would be a good part to put acknowledgments or thank yous or that sort of thing. And then you got your table of contents. And you can go in here and you can edit where those go. And then you've got, you can, go in here and just make sure that your paragraphs are, there's nothing funky going on there or anything. And it's just, basic text editor. It's just not a whole lot going on here. But within, you can bold things, italics them, add an inline image, all the basic things that you can do word processor wise. And then at the end, you could add another chapter, and you could add a chapter at the end here, and say that was going to be, like about the author. And, you could put bio information, and then you could read my other books, and then you could list all of them with your Amazon links, or join my newsletter. And this would be a great place to link up all of that, so that when they go to their Kindle, they click on it and it immediately sends them to a newsletter sign up, or to the Amazon store where they can see your other books and all of that. And then when you are finished editing that, you just go back to the home page and
does it keep your bold and your italics if you have it?
It does. Let's
like if
I
you
say
had
that,
it in the original
and
then you upload it, does it keep it, or do you have to search?
yes, it should. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it does, because it's gonna those are just basic text
Can we just take a
designation.
second to say how much I love the first line of this, by the way? Even at dawn, the desert wanted you dead. It's a great first line.
Yeah, this book is about an archaeologist who finds weird artifacts and discovers that they have been placed here by an alien race who is now invading Earth. So it's Indiana Jones meets Star Wars is my elevator pitch. So
nice.
So then when you've got all that done and you're ready to go, click edit book details, export EPUB, and it then gives me a browser that you can't see, and I just tell it what folder I want to save this, and I save it, and then I go to KDP, and I've got a clean EPUB file to upload. So it's not super elaborate. There are, let's see if I can get back to the you can apply styles, and where do you do that? As you can see, I haven't played with it a whole lot lately. I'm trying to remember. There's a place where there are like 5 different styles that are kind of already set, and that determines your headings and things like just basic. It really just helps you generate a clean file. Not a whole lot of elaborate setup. There's a little bit that you can do, but yeah, it's formatting. Here we go. When you click on formatting, then you get these. It's got these set styles, and they give you different headings or different paragraph. Well, let's see. Let's go to. Okay, here we go. So I've got a bulk of text here, and you can see, how it's gonna. Well, if I click on the right screen, you can see how your headings and your paragraphs lay out, and you can kind of get a little preview there of how it's going to look. And
it's weird how some of them say chapter 2, chapter 1, and I noticed when you uploaded it, it was.
And that's because there's in my file, there's a heading before that with 123,000 words. I think it was something that the editor put in. And so it's recognizing that as a heading. So it thinks that's chapter 1. And so that's why you get that weird. Normally you wouldn't have that. And if I'd had a clean file ahead of time, then it wouldn't have done that. But
so for something like Atticus, like, see where you had the one that had the little heart in it? I'm guessing that's for romance. Can you replace that little heart with a different icon or something? Or is Atticus kind of like make you just choose?
Yeah, you just choose. It doesn't get you can create a new theme, and you can choose chapter heading, the font, how you want it to align, chapter title, chapter image.
There
and then
you
can upload. It's got this takes you to
BookBrush.
BookBrush, free account, create custom images for Atticus and more. But this looks, it takes you to a pricing page. So, it's going to be one of those where you pay for access to other stuff. But
and remember that Josh said that every time you add a little image like that too, that increases your file
size, right? So and this has small little two color GIFs that are super small in size. And so if you can use the predetermined images, that's better. If not, you just have to be very judicious with what you how you choose. But then you change subheadings, what your scene break looks like.
And
Um,
if you do that slider right there, it
yeah.
shows you in the preview, correct?
Yes.
So if you're trying to make your own, you can see what it looks like.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure. And then print layout. This is where you're just going to set your margins, your paragraph indents, just basic settings. There's not a whole lot of font size, line spacing, header and footer, and then trim size. So just basic. What Atticus is going to do is allow you to take your Word file and spit out a clean PDF where all of the chapters are similarly laid out. Not a lot of bells and whistles, but also no surprises. You're just going to get a clean file.
Looks like down at the bottom too, they show you what you can do on Kindle and what you can do on Ingram Spark. It's like color coded.
Yes. Yes.
File sizes.
Yeah, and that's new. That's I hadn't noticed that before, so that's a new addition that they put in. And then you can save this as a new theme. So I can say, I'm going to call this Hank, and then in the future, then all the things that I chose there are, it can save my settings. So, but that's Atticus. It's I forget how much Atticus cost. It's not terrible. Let me see if I can. Atticus cost $147, and it's a one-time payment, and it is web-based. So when they make updates, it gets pushed out automatically, and there's no, nothing to track there. So that's Atticus for you. I use it. I've used it on the last couple of books that I published. I've been very happy with it. But I've used it for ebooks. And the last paperback that I laid out, I used Adobe InDesign because I had InDesign and I'd used it before and I was familiar with all the keyboard shortcuts. So that's but as far as laying out an ebook, Atticus is super easy. It's dependable. It just does the job and not a whole lot more.
All right, let me show Vellum. So actually, I was going to show you guys kind of from the beginning, just because there were a couple of things that Josh said. I'm going to present my whole screen. I think I've turned it off so that my text messages don't come through. My husband may or may not be at the grocery store purchasing dinner and have questions. There's no telling what. So let me see. Entire screen, because it's just going to be easier for me to do it this way. Also, I hate it when it does this. Ignore all my Instant Pot recipes at the top of my tab. Okay. So here I've got this book that I have not put into Vellum yet, period. This was the book that I co-wrote with my friend Jeff Bradley. And so what I did, if you notice, we do have, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, we have the prologue. It should all be correctly labeled. That's what I'm hoping. So I have this all here. And what I did was when I went to export it, I exported it to a Word doc. And that gave me from the start that really clean file where all the tabs and the spacing and everything like that, it worked. And actually what I did was I said manuscript format and I said the entire book. Now, Hank, you might be able to tell me if I said Dabble format, would that make a difference in any of these programs?
No.
Okay. So I exported the manuscript format, just so everybody knows. That's where I started. All right. So now let's go over here to Vellum. So this is what Vellum looks like. This was my previous book, A Little Trouble Goes a Long Way. And you can see it's the same thing. I have the dedication. here, and it gives you the Kindle. Right now I have Kindle Fire selected as my preview. The contents, so it automatically builds your table of contents. It gave me a prologue. I put in a full page illustration, which was kind of just a placeholder because this was for my like my beta reading kids. And I also had the little image. So you could see I was able to actually put it up here because what I did was every chapter I had a different image that corresponded to whatever was going on in that chapter. So I did not know at the time that that was going to increase my file size, but we're going to go with it. So this was this one, but let me.
And those are what type of image is that you? Because I can't imagine those images are very large.
No, it's a little ping. So JPEG might have been less.
Maybe you might also try saving it as a GIF or GIF, whatever, which can squash the. But once it's so small, a lot of times there's not a whole lot more space you can save. So
no, and I did a ping because I went into Photoshop for each of these images, and I
remove the background.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if I didn't do that, would it leave like a little, would you see where it went from like almost white to white or vice versa? So I just took it out.
Gotcha.
But so that's what I did for that one. So let's start this new book here with what I was working on. So now, because again, remember, friends, this is only the second time I've done it. I will, how do we get it in there? Don't y'all laugh at me when I'm like, how the heck do I get it in there? I think down here. Maybe? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do any of that. Okay. This is what we're going to do. We're going to close it out. Delete, delete, delete. All right. Let's start again. Import a Word file. That's what I wanted. All right, so I'm going to go to my downloads and grab that docx that I had. And here it is. So this is what I said when I said it was so easy. I thought there is no way that I did this right. So title page, you go in, you can edit this to give it a subtitle if you want. So this is actually book 1. So I could put book 1 in there. You can put an ebook cover in. So again, I don't have an ebook cover to upload, but you would just upload it and it tells you what your pixel, range should be right here. If you start going down, I can say show subtitles, list subheads with chapters. There's that information like you had in yours, Hank, how many words it was, address, phone number. But here we go. Here's my prologue. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And you can see that the theme that I have here is the one where I just have the number of the chapter. I love it when the first letter is bigger.
I do too.
And it's not indented. And then the second paragraph is indented. You can actually flip through. You can see the whole chapter and go all the way. And if you notice a mistake, you just go in here and you edit. So that was nice and easy. And if you go here, this is that same thing you were talking about. These are all the ones that are preloaded in. So you can get one that has let's go back to the start of the chapter.
I like that cursive first letter.
Which to me, that's like very romantic or, something like that. This would be to me very still fantasy with that swirly O. This might be a little sci-fi. They have a lot of really nice, this one's kind of classic.
Yeah,
but you have, these are the popular ones. You can sort by serif. So again, you have more. There's another that would be good for the sci-fi sans serif. So these are your choices. Maybe you want it to look a little more modern like that. Script. So same thing. This would be kind of a, romance, a YA. Maybe this would be great for YA.
Vellum feels very polished. Like there's just like it just
Super polished.
feels like it just works. It's
And
just
here's all the styles here. So I mean, I went super simple when I picked mine because it was for kids. I liked that it was just the number.
yeah.
You know, I liked that it was very clean. I mean, it was super,
Mhm.
super easy. And if you go in here, you can say configure. So say you like most of this, but you want to change some piece of it. Let's say you want, what is it that you call the thing at the top? It's not the ornamental break. That's when you have the line.
Yeah,
But see, you
the
can
heading, the header image, or I don't know what.
when you break scenes
Yeah.
within the chapter. So you can go through and say, well, I want this style theme, but I want the 3 stars instead of the one line or the line that fades, you know, whatever it is that you want. And then you can make it, you know, you can put your own in, make it bigger, make it smaller. So like if I wanted to break my scenes, I could put the same little wrench in that I'm going to be using.
Right.
You know, I like that you can customize any of that, you know, and all I did was just press the button here and it lets you go through. So again, background and border. Now remember, Josh was saying yesterday that you can upload an image that it would sort of gray out behind, which is great for some of the ebooks. But then again, that ups your image cost. So, you know, depending on what it is that you want to do, you do have the ability to add.
And here's a thing I was thinking about that. If you have a background image and it's the same background image on every page, you only have to upload that image once. So that's, you know, you start thinking, oh, it's an image on every page. No, it's the same image. It's just displaying that image over and over again. And
so you're saying so unlike that first book that I was showing where I had a different image for every chapter heading, if I use the same one.
That's where I was going. If you use the same one, you only have to have one image and it just repeats that image. Okay. Whereas if you have a different one for every chapter, it has to store all of those images. So that's a workaround. You could still have the cool little images, maybe just land on one and just reuse that image. So,
instead of 29, like I had in the
but for your print book, I love the different images, especially like a great place where that would work is if you have different point of view characters in the book, and you could have a different image for each one to kind of clue the reader into this is who we're like. That would be a fun way to do that.
Is actually really smart. And now I'm
I got the gears turning. Got the gears turning.
Why did you do that to me, Hank? I've already put in my order with the Illustrator. But when you have all this finished and you have it the way that you want, you go up here to generate. Yes, I'll save it. Welcome to everywhere. And I'm just going to put test so that I don't end up messing myself up later. I'm going to say save. Generate forward. You see here where it says all ebook platforms in print. Boom. And it says here Dropbox. So you can click on this and you can see.
Wow.
These are your choices. You can change your print setting. I left mine at 6:9 because that's the size that I've chosen for my print. But you choose it. So you can choose print settings, same thing. You can have more options. You can adjust the size of your text. You can adjust all of that. And I noticed that I put mine all the way up because I'm writing for kids. So this was kind of one of the things. Josh kind of tap danced around it a little bit. But if you're writing a really long book and you want to pull this text down, what that's going to do is it's going to cut down on your number of pages, which could save you money in the long run with, you know, printing. Correct, Hank? I'm not just kind of making that up. Here's your kerning, which is your spacing between your lines. If you've heard us throw that word around and you're not really sure what that is, this is where you do your margins. Same thing here, chapter begin. Now, I went through and set this so that every chapter begins on the right side. because I just think that's classy. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Well,
don't
and
ask me why.
yeah, and and if you're ever wondering about that, just pull random books off your shelf and flip through. Do you ever see a chapter begin on the left side? Chances are,
Sometimes
now kids' books may be different, but um,
I'm gonna look. Yep, right here. This book begins on the left.
interesting.
Thing L left. So
See, starts on the right side, right here. Oh, this one starts on the left side. Ah, that's
I
interesting.
want to peek at you, but I know it's gonna give everyone the million screens. So but yeah, you can set all of that right in
Yeah.
here. And when you say continue and you say generate, I want you to watch what happens. You see how quickly this did it? And so
Wow.
to me, Kindle, Provo, like, oh, here you can proof your books, upload to the stores, like it links to everything. So I'm going to say
Nice.
show files. So here are all my files now. So I'm guessing Apple Books, Google Play, Kindle, Kobo, Nook, they must all have slightly different requirements. And if that's the case, I mean, boom, if you're
Boom.
going wide, it's all
Yep.
right there. So you click
Yep.
on it, and there's my EPUB formatted for Apple Books. There's my EPUB formatted for Google Play, and you have it all right there. So, I mean, I was pretty impressed with, like I said, I'm trying to get this off, how easy that was to sort of put together.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, God, I gotta be doing something wrong. But there it is.
Nice. That's actually the first time I've ever seen vellum demonstrated. Because I'm not a Mac guy, but it looks like there's a lot of care that went into detail that just makes it super easy, which is
But I mean, to be honest with you, and not to get into the whole like Mac versus PC debate,
yeah,
because you guys, I went to art school in the 90s. That's all the programs were on were Macs. I mean, I when I went to college, I was in the honors program at my university, and the honors computer lab, because nobody had a computer in their room. Like we were still going to the computer lab to use the computers. The computer lab had 3 Macs in the corner and everything else was a PC. And I can remember going to type my papers at night, and all the PCs would be taken and there would be a line of kids sitting in the hallway outside. And I would just strut right past them because there wasn't a darn person on the Macs because nobody knew how to use it. So I was like, I got this. But so to me, the only difference it looks like between Vellum and Atticus, though, is it's kind of like the difference between driving a Cadillac and a Toyota. They're both going to get you there.
right.
One's just going to ride a little smoother, maybe like an
Yeah.
old person's car, a Cadillac.
Yeah.
But they're doing the exact same thing, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So.
And Atticus is made by the folks that run Kindlepreneur. It's made for indie publishers. That's literally they made it to help people indie publish their books. That was the like one piece of their process that was missing, so they just made something to fill the gap. So it's not intended to be more than it is. It's it's for folks that wrote a book and they want to publish it, and they want to have a few things that they can do to format, and that's all it does.
Yeah,
that's all it tries to be. So
yeah. So for what it's worth, you guys, that's why, like, NJ, if you end up wanting to start a business where you do this for people, because there are going to be plenty of people who just the idea of this is more than they want to handle. Like my girlfriend, Jen Braxma, I was talking to her the other day about her ebooks, and I was asking her questions, and she goes through Spark Press and she's like, I don't know, Spark handles it. Because I asked her very specifically, your line item in your contract, does it tell you how much they charged for book formatting? And she's like, no, I have no idea. They just, they just do it for me. And that's why I pay them. She's like, because I don't want to learn how to do it. I don't care how easy it is. So there are plenty of people out there who are just going to say, I don't want to learn that part.
Yeah.
Here's my book. But if you have a little bit of money to put into Atticus, you push a button and it spits out that EPUB.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, it really didn't make it difficult at all to get.
And especially if you're an author who's going to focus on ebook publishing, and there are plenty. I think most people will want to have paperbacks on hand for signings, to sell to friends, to put some on your website and sell. But for most indie authors, the vast majority of books that you're ever going to sell are going to be ebooks. And that's just the reality of it. And if you have a program that will help you generate ebooks and get them out, and then your print business is kind of secondary to that, the Atticus is that's what it's literally made for.
I mean, and you could probably pick up one customer and pay for the program.
Probably so. I would.
And then you're off and running, which, the reason why I ended up buying it in the first place is looking at putting this first book out. My husband was like, get it now at the beginning and just be the one who uses it, like figure it out and just do it. And after one use, it will have paid for itself if you were to pay somebody else to do it. So that was kind of how I looked at the investment, but
Yeah. And I'm really big into collecting tools, and so yeah, I can. Yeah.
I have to just take a moment to say we have a thread going on the W campus right now that has like over 40 comments about bacon on it. Don't ask me how we ended up on a bacon thread, but we're all about the bacon this week.
Yeah. And Abby is a bacon farmer.
I did yell last night, don't make me turn you into pork. You better follow me when those pigs got loose. It was like, I might have said a few choice words in front of the neighborhood children and then had to apologize to their parents later. Because I was like,
it happens. It happens.
I didn't know there were tiny people listening as I was running down the street with my pigs.
Everyone take a moment to envision Abby running down the street chasing 3 pigs.
I'm going to be honest with you. Every MG author I know, we all have terrible mouths. You would think it would be the opposite way. But no, the MG people are awful. But anyway, so that was a good little demo. The only thing we didn't demo was how to do it in Microsoft Word. I'm so sorry, everyone. None of us want to do that. So if Doug were here, we would assign that part to Doug.
Yeah. I would bet, and I've not done this, so it may be a bet that I lose, but I would bet that if you went to YouTube and searched for how to generate an EPUB from Microsoft Word, I guarantee someone has posted that video already.
Or 100 someone.
Or 100 someone. Yeah. I'll bet
with
with a little bit of scratching, I think you could probably find it. So
NJ, make a demo video and we'll put it in the
show notes.
I was going to say the show notes, but also we'll put it in the community over in the indie summer part. I'll embed it into a post so everybody can see it.
Yeah, we should get a post going of tools that to use for that. And that'd be a great, if you do that, NJ, that'd be fantastic.
B could do one with the cover jig thing. That's one that none of us has used before. That would be awesome. So if you guys come up with anything like that, I think that'd be great.
You're terrible, Reed. I like it, but you're terrible.
These poor pigs. These poor pigs. Ray was the first one to follow me home, and I was like, I love you most right now. I just want you to know. I had to go back for the other 2. She immediately just came, followed me down the street, went back into the yard.
She knows you feed her.
They all know I feed them, but they also know the neighbors feed them, and the neighbors are feeding them.
And therein lies the problem. Yeah. Never
So,
feed a stray. Yeah.
stray Florida feral hog lives in your neighbor's yard. Well,
Oh,
everybody, I think that's a wrap for a Friday.
yeah.
The
So
format book.
next week, we're going to talk about ARC copies and selling direct to readers and kind of, connecting with your readers and starting to build a reader base before publishing. And
Yeah.
we have a special guest next week, Nick Cole. Has been a friend of mine for going on 15 years, and we have published some things together in the past. He was traditionally published by HarperCollins. Got into a bit of an argument, if you will, with his editor over a piece of content that was going in a book. They told him he couldn't say that, and he said it led to some things, and it led to him leaving his contract with HarperCollins and going 100% indie. And then he and another author friend of ours named Jason Onspach started talking about wanting to write books that were like the way they described it was playing with Star Wars action figures in a sandbox. And so, the stories you could tell with that. And so they developed a series called Galaxy's Edge, and they began by building a base of readers before they published the first book. And they started with like a Patreon style, kind of before Patreon was a thing, and started doing subscriptions and really built this rabid fan base, and started publishing these books that just resonated with the readers on so many levels. And they had a tremendous time publishing on Amazon and Audible, huge following, literally millions of copies sold, and have pivoted a little bit where the success that they had with Amazon, they've now kind of parlayed that back to their direct to readers and are really focusing on their direct sales as well as their Amazon. And they really maintained that relationship with the readers. So Nick is going to be a fantastic guy. If you want to know about building relationships with your readers, and I mean real relationships with readers where they will follow you anywhere, Nick is the guy to listen to.
I'm so excited to hear him talk about the whole direct sales piece too, because
Me too.
I've kind of decided that if that's a really good strategy for essentially making money, because let's just face it. I mean, we write because we love to write, but at some point, if you want to make it a career, you do think about it as a business.
Yeah.
And if I want the business to sustain me, you got to do that, awful, icky feeling thing, which is you got to make money somehow,
Yeah.
right? And I get the push and pull that people have, where you have something that you love that you've made with your heart, and it's difficult to value it sometimes. And
everybody becomes an author because they want someone else to read their words.
Right?
You feel like you have something to say. And
yeah, so I've decided that even if it means a slower build, I want to have direct to reader sales on my website. I want to set that up from the very, very beginning. And I've already decided that I think I'm going to go wide, because I don't think kids sell as many ebooks as adults do. And so therefore I'm going to do my best to try every avenue and see, can I get more traction on one than the other? Like, what can I do? So I'm going to be interested to see what he says about the sales director readers, that in particular. And then speaking of, next week, we also have my friend, who I've not been friends with her for 15 years, just a measly like 8 years. But my friend Terry LeBlanc is coming on Monday to talk to us. She actually owns an independent bookstore And she talks about how you get in with indie bookstores in order to sell your books. And so I'm really excited to see what she has to say about getting into those bookstores. I think it's harder with print. It's easier with ebooks, but indie stores will sell your ebooks for you. And so she's got some actually really great resources, and she has been a champion of authors for as long as I've known her. She was working behind the scenes at Author Accelerator when she and I met. She's like a tech wizard. She's actually the one who set up a lot of the back end of my website for me years ago. So, and then after we talk about ARCs and distribution channels next week, we're talking about websites, which is the part that I'm dragging my feet on, people, because I gotta update mine as part of the demo. So,
but we're also going to have a little bonus where we're going to walk folks through kind of building a website. You know, it'll be kind of a down and dirty demonstration, but I think it'll be worth spending some time with.
Downer and dirtier than the book formatting, which we were like, watch us upload this book and push a button.
The downest and dirtiest of all. Yeah.
So, well, thanks everybody for joining us on Friday. That takes us right up to the top of the hour again. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the flip, right?
See you on Monday, guys.